Long ago, in a galaxy filled with thousands of different life forms, Earth was just a small blue planet. For centuries, most of the galaxy barely noticed humans. The powerful races, like the tall, silver-skinned Zorions, the bird-like Orlans, and the wise and ancient Kirith, often made big decisions about war and peace. But nobody cared what Earth thought. Humans were seen as new and simple, busy with their own problems far from the galaxy's center. But everything changed when a strange threat appeared at the edge of the galaxy. Planets went silent one by one. Space stations vanished without a trace. Ships traveling through those areas never came back. The Galactic Council, the main group that kept peace, became worried. They sent their best scouts and their bravest fighters. Some came back, shaken and unable to explain what they had seen. Others were never heard from again. As news of the mysterious threat spread, fear grew among the alien races. Some wanted to hide. Some wanted to fight, but most just wanted to survive. Emergency meetings began to happen more often in the huge council hall, a place built inside a hollowed-out moon. The hall itself was bigger than any city on Earth, and its ceiling shone with fake stars. Here, leaders from every known race gathered to talk, argue, and sometimes shout. At one such meeting, the room was full of panic. Screens showed images of destroyed worlds and drifting ships. The usually calm Zorion leader's hands shook as he spoke. "We have lost 3 more colonies this week. The threat is moving faster." An Orlan ambassador, with blue feathers ruffled, said, "We need new ideas. Our technology is not enough. The enemy cannot be seen. It moves in shadows." A deep, quiet voice came from the corner. It was Elder Tariq, the oldest of the Kirith. He rarely spoke, but everyone listened when he did. "We need help. We cannot do this alone. Perhaps we should ask the humans." The room became silent. For a moment, only the gentle humming of the air filters could be heard. Many remembered how little respect they'd given to humans in the past. Some even laughed at the idea. "Humans?" the Zorion leader said with surprise. "They are strong on their own world, yes, but in space, they are new. Their weapons are not as advanced as ours." But Tariq only nodded slowly. "That is what we always thought. But the humans, they change quickly. I have watched them. They are not afraid to try new things. They find solutions that others do not see. Maybe this is what we need." Whispers spread through the hall. Some agreed, some did not. In the end, a message was sent to Earth. A call for help, a request for anything that could stop the unknown threat. Weeks passed with no answer. In that time, the threat grew even closer. The Galactic Council prepared for the worst. Then, one day, a message arrived. It was short, polite, and to the point. "This is Earth. We have heard your call. Our ship, the Resolute, will arrive soon." Nobody in the council had ever heard of the Resolute. Some even joked about its name, thinking it sounded old and boring. But the message had a strange calmness to it. It did not offer promises. It did not threaten. It simply announced the arrival. News of the human ship spread across the galaxy like wildfire. Some were hopeful, but most were nervous. What could one ship do against a threat that had already destroyed entire worlds? Some alien races sent spies to learn more. They hacked into Earth's databases but found only small pieces of information. The humans had hidden almost everything about the Resolute. A few weeks later, the Galactic Council received another message, this time from their outer defenses. It was a video, shaky and blurry. At first, all that could be seen was a star-filled sky. Then, slowly, a dark shape moved across the screen. It was massive, so large that it blocked out the stars behind it. "Is that the human ship?" someone whispered in disbelief. The council's cameras zoomed in. The Resolute was nothing like the alien ships. Where most ships in the galaxy were smooth and shiny, with bright colors and beautiful shapes, the Resolute was plain, dark, and powerful. Its hull was covered in thick armor. Huge cannons pointed in every direction. Engines glowed a steady blue, but the ship made no effort to look friendly. The first thing everyone noticed was its size. The ship was larger than the Council's own meeting hall. It was bigger than any warship built in 1,000 years. Some wondered how the humans even managed to build something so large without anyone noticing. Alien fleets moved closer to the system's edge, forming a barrier in front of the Council's homeworld. They wanted to show strength, hoping to remind the humans that they were not alone in the galaxy. But as the Resolute drew nearer, some ships drifted back, their crews shaken by its quiet power. Messages went back and forth. "Hold your position," ordered the admirals. "We must be ready for anything." In the council hall, the mood was tense. Even the bravest leaders felt a new kind of fear. For years, humans had been a joke, simple and weak. Now, their battleship was making the greatest powers in the galaxy feel small. A day before the Resolute was set to arrive, the Council called one last emergency meeting. Some wanted to welcome the humans. Others wanted to warn them to keep their distance. A few even thought of attacking the ship before it got too close. But Elder Tariq spoke again. "Let us not judge the humans by their past. Let us see what they bring." At last, the day arrived. The Resolute entered the star system. It moved slowly, like a mountain drifting through space. Ships from every race watched in silence. Some took photos and sent them home, sure that history was being made. Then, the Resolute sent a message to the Council. It was simple and clear. "This is Earth's Battleship Resolute. We have arrived. How can we help?" For a moment, nobody spoke. Then, one by one, the alien leaders stood up to answer. The time for jokes was over. The time for fear had come. The Resolute had arrived. The whole galaxy seemed to hold its breath. In the council hall, leaders from every major race stared at the giant screen that showed the human battleship slowly gliding through space. Some tried to act calm, but their eyes were wide with worry. The human ship did not come alone. Around it, small escort ships appeared, flying in tight formation. They were simple in design but looked tough and strong. Even though they were much smaller than the Resolute, each one looked powerful enough to be the pride of any alien fleet. Inside the council hall, arguments started. Some wanted to send a welcome party to show good manners. Others felt afraid and said they should prepare their fleets just in case the humans had come to attack. The Orlan ambassador, with feathers now smoothed down, whispered, "If we anger them, what hope do we have?" A group of young Kareth scientists, always curious, were more interested than afraid. They wondered how the humans had built such a ship in secret. "Their technology is not what we thought," said one. "We must learn from them if we wish to survive." The council finally agreed to send a message to the Resolute. It was simple and respectful. "Welcome to the Galactic Council's system. Please state your intentions." The reply came quickly. The voice was clear, calm, and almost warm. "This is Captain Mira of the Resolute. We are here to help. We request permission to dock and meet with your council to discuss the threat." The name Mira spread quickly through the galaxy's news networks. Until now, humans had seemed like a distant rumor. Now, they had a name and a voice. Some felt better, thinking maybe humans were just like everyone else. Others felt even more afraid. If a single human could speak so calmly to the whole galaxy, what else could they do? The council arranged a meeting in their main chamber. Security was tight, with guards from every race standing watch. Everyone expected the human captain to arrive with a show of strength, maybe dressed in heavy armor or bringing bodyguards. Instead, when the Resolute's shuttle landed, only 3 humans stepped out. Captain Mira walked in front with a friendly smile. She wore a simple blue uniform. Two crew members followed, one a tall, broad-shouldered man, the other a short woman with sharp eyes. Both wore the same plain uniform. The council leaders watched as the humans entered. There was no fear in their eyes, but also no arrogance. Mira bowed politely and spoke. "Thank you for meeting with us. We came because we know what it means to face a threat you do not understand. Please, tell us everything." A deep silence filled the chamber. Some leaders relaxed a little, but others still felt uneasy. It was strange. Humans looked ordinary, but something about them felt strong and unbreakable. The Zorian leader stood and spoke first. He explained how the threat had appeared: unknown ships, black as night, moving between stars and destroying everything in their path. He told of the lost colonies and the people who never returned. Others added details, painting a picture of fear and helplessness. Captain Mira listened carefully. She asked simple questions. How fast do they move? What weapons do they use? Do they ever communicate? And wrote down every answer. When the stories ended, Mira nodded. "We have fought things like this before," she said softly. "Not the same, but similar. Sometimes when you meet something new, you have to see with different eyes." A hologram appeared above the council table, showing a map of the galaxy's edge. Mira pointed at the path the enemy had taken. "We believe the enemy is testing you. They look for weakness. They want to know if you will run or if you will. Stand together." The Orlan ambassador shook his head. "We have tried everything. Their ships are too strong. Even our best weapons are useless." The tall human crew member, who had been silent until now, spoke up. "Maybe you are trying to fight them like you fight each other. But humans learned something important a long time ago. Every enemy has a weakness. You just have to find it." The short human woman added, "Sometimes the best weapon is not a bigger gun, but a better idea." For the first time, a few of the alien leaders smiled. The Kireth scientists leaned forward, eager to learn more. Captain Mira turned to the council. "With your permission, we would like to scan the enemy's path and set a trap. We have tools you do not know, but we need your trust." Trust. It was a simple word, but in a room full of proud leaders, it felt heavy. Some wanted to refuse, afraid the humans would take control. Others saw no other choice. After a long debate, Elder Tariq spoke. "Let them help. We asked for aid. We must accept it." So the council gave their approval. The Resolute began to scan the area where the enemy was last seen. Its sensors reached farther and deeper than any alien technology. Within hours, it found something. Strange energy signals like the first warning of a storm. The council watched as human crews worked quickly. The Resolute deployed drones, each as small as a bird but filled with powerful sensors. These drones slipped through space, invisible to most alien ships. Soon the screens in the council hall lit up with new data. The enemy was moving faster than anyone guessed. The human crew calmly explained what they saw. "They use a kind of shield we have seen before," said Mira. "If we target the field's weak points, we can break it." Alien scientists rushed to copy the human data, their minds racing. For the first time, hope returned to the galaxy. But not everyone felt safe. Some alien admirals gathered their fleets near the Resolute, watching every move. They worried that humans might be hiding a secret agenda. A few even planned for what to do if the Resolute turned against them. On the Resolute's bridge, Captain Mira sat with her officers. They watched the alien fleets on their screens. "They are afraid of us," said the tall crewman. Mira nodded. "We would be afraid too if a ship like this arrived near Earth, but we must prove our intentions with action, not words." Outside, the enemy drew closer. The humans made plans with the council. They suggested setting a trap, luring the enemy into a nebula where their ships would be less effective. We will need brave pilots, Mira said, looking at the alien leaders. We cannot do this alone. A young Orlan pilot, barely old enough to command a ship, stood up. I will go. If the humans fight with us, I will not be the one to hide. One by one, others joined in. Soon, a mixed fleet of alien and human ships formed, a team that had never worked together before. The day came when the trap was set. The Resolute took its place at the center, with alien ships in a wide circle. Hidden drones watched the enemy's movements. On the bridge, humans and aliens stood together, watching the enemy ships grow larger on the screens. Everyone was nervous. The air was thick with worry and hope. Would the plan work? Or would the galaxy lose everything? Captain Mira looked at her new friends. Hold the line, she said softly. Together we can do what alone we cannot. As the enemy ships entered the nebula, the trap was sprung. The first battle had begun. The nebula glowed with swirling clouds of gas, its colors painting the darkness of space. The mixed fleet waited quietly, ships hiding in the thickest part of the nebula. It was the perfect place for an ambush. All around, tiny drones. Both, human and alien, moved through the mist, sending back silent images to the fleet's commanders. The air inside every ship was tense. Even the bravest pilots felt their hands shake. On the bridge of the Resolute, Captain Mira watched the data on her screen. She saw the enemy coming. Strange, dark ships, their outlines shifting like living shadows. No lights shone on their hulls. They did not answer any calls. They did not slow down. These enemy ships moved as one, like a school of fish or a swarm of insects, hunting together. All ships, this is Captain Mira, she said into her communicator. Her voice was steady, but her eyes were sharp. Hold positions. Wait for my signal. We strike only when the enemy enters the center of the nebula. Around her, her human crew worked quickly, sharing information with the alien fleet. The Zorion, Admiral, now side by side with Mira, studied the screens. He felt fear but also respect for the humans, who never seemed to panic. The enemy fleet grew larger and larger on the sensors. In the Orlan ship, the young pilot gripped his controls. His wings shook a little, but he was ready. The Kireth scientist aboard the Council's flagship watched, taking notes on every movement. Suddenly, the enemy ships fired beams of dark energy. The closest alien scout ship vanished in an instant, its crew lost forever. The fleet almost broke. Position, but Mira's calm voice kept them steady. Do not move. Wait, we have one chance to end this. The enemy entered the center of the nebula exactly as planned. At that moment, Mira gave the order. All ships, attack now! The Resolute opened fire first. Its cannons sent bright beams through the nebula, lighting up the mist like a storm. Alien ships followed, firing their own weapons. The enemy ships twisted and dodged, but they had not expected to be surrounded. For the first time, the galaxy saw what the Resolute could do. Its main gun, hidden deep inside the ship, fired a pulse of blue energy that cut through two enemy ships at once. The alien admirals gasped. No weapon they had ever seen was so powerful. The enemy tried to fight back, but their weapons were weaker inside the nebula. The thick gas made their targeting systems fail. They began to break apart, losing their perfect formations. The mixed fleet pressed the attack. Human pilots showed courage, diving close to the enemy to draw their fire. Alien ships followed, inspired by their new allies. Together, they pushed the enemy back, ship by ship. But victory was not easy. The enemy began to change tactics. Some of their ships suddenly broke away from the main battle, slipping through the nebula to attack from behind. A Kireth science. Vessel was caught off guard, its shields dropping fast. Resolute, we need help, the Kireth captain called out. Hold on, Mira replied. She turned to her crew. Send fighters to support the Kireth ship and bring up the secondary shields. Small human escort ships sped out from the Resolute, forming a barrier in front of the Kireth vessel. Their new shields glowed, blocking the enemy's attacks. The Kyrith crew, saved just in time, sent their thanks. On the Orlan ship, the Young, pilot saw an enemy ship breaking through the lines, heading straight for the center of the fleet. He did not hesitate. "I'm going in!" he called. His ship raced forward, spinning and weaving. The enemy fired but missed. The Orlan ship fired back, hitting the enemy's engines and sending it spinning out of control. "Nice shot, Adese." Human pilot cheered over the radio. As the battle raged, everyone worked together. The Zorian ships, with their powerful shields, took the front lines, blocking enemy fire. Human drones darted through the fight, sending back data and targeting weak spots on the enemy ships. The Kyrith used their knowledge to predict the enemy's movements, helping the fleet avoid ambushes. The tide was turning, but the enemy was not finished. Suddenly, 3 giant enemy ships appeared at the edge of the nebula. They were bigger than anything the fleet had seen so far, their weapons charged, glowing with dangerous energy. On the bridge of the Resolute, Mira's face grew, serious. "Those are command ships," she said. "If we take them out, the enemy fleet will break." But the new enemy ships were powerful. Their shields absorbed almost every shot. The fleet's weapons had little effect. The Council, watching from their hull, began to fear again. "We cannot win," whispered the Orlan ambassador. "Their command ships are too strong." But Mira refused to give up. She called her crew together and shared a plan. "We need to get inside their shields," she said. "If we can attach a disruption device, we can bring those shields down for a few seconds. That's all we need." A small group of human and alien pilots volunteered. They flew their ships close, dodging enemy fire. It was dangerous work, but they did not back down. One by one, they attached the devices to the enemy command ships. "Now!" Mira called. The Resolute fired its main gun at the first command ship. For a second, the shields flickered. The energy beam broke through, and the ship exploded in a ball of fire. The second and third command ships tried to escape, but the fleet followed. Alien ships, human fighters, all moving as one. The Zorian ships fired at one command ship, while the Orlan pilot and his squad attacked the other. With another volley from the Resolute, the second command ship fell. The third was cornered, surrounded by every ship in the fleet. The alien captains gave the order. "Fire everything!" In a blaze of energy, the last command ship was destroyed. All across the nebula, the remaining enemy ships stopped moving. Without their leaders, they lost coordination. The fleet quickly finished them off. For a long moment, there was silence. On every ship, crews watched their screens, unable to believe what they had just done. The Council's hall was quiet, too. Leaders who had feared the end of everything now felt hope for the first time in years. On the Resolute, Captain Mira let out a breath. "Well done, everyone," she said. Her voice was soft, but her eyes shone with pride. Messages flooded in from every ship. Alien admirals thanked the humans for their bravery and their ideas. Scientists shared new data, excited to learn more from the humans' technology. But there was no time to celebrate. The enemy was not completely gone. Their ships had been beaten. But somewhere out in the dark, the real mind behind the threat still waited. In the council hall, Elder Tariq stood and spoke. "Today we stood together. Today we learned that unity is our greatest weapon. The humans have taught us that even the strongest enemy can be beaten if we trust each other." The galaxy listened. The story of the battle spread quickly, reaching even the most distant colonies. The name of the Resolute became famous. For the first time, children on every world spoke of humans with respect, not laughter. As the fleet prepared for what would come next, the galaxy was changed forever. So, fear of the enemy was still there, but now it was joined by something new: courage. The nebula was still glowing with leftover flashes from the great battle. All across the mixed fleet, crews repaired their ships and cared for their wounded. The sense of victory was strong, but everyone knew it was not the end. The enemy's main force had been broken, but a feeling of unease still lingered. Something told the leaders that a greater danger was yet to come. Inside the council hall, the mood had changed. Leaders from all the alien races now listened to Captain Mira with respect. The Zorian admiral, once proud and doubtful, now looked to her for advice. Even the Orlan ambassador, who had been so worried before, spoke more calmly. Elder Tariq, the wise Kyreth, summed up the feeling. "We have done what we thought was impossible. We stood together and survived. But we cannot relax. Our enemy is still out there, waiting." On the Resolute, Captain Mira and her team studied the enemy wreckage. Human and alien scientists worked side by side, sharing notes and theories. The enemy ships were strange, full of parts that did not match any known technology. Some pieces looked like they came from long-lost civilizations. The more they studied, the more they realized the enemy was collecting and copying technology from everywhere in the galaxy. One human engineer, examining a chunk of enemy metal, noticed something odd. It was pulsing with a weak signal, almost like a heartbeat. "Captain, I think this piece is sending a message," she said. Mira leaned closer. "Where is it sending the message?" The engineer ran a few checks. "It's not going far. Maybe somewhere close? Or maybe it's calling for help." That thought made everyone pause. If the enemy could call for reinforcements, the fleet needed to act quickly. At that moment, a warning flashed on the Resolute's main screen. Drones at the edge of the nebula had picked up a new energy surge. Something huge was coming through space, heading straight for them. The news spread fast through the council hall. Fear returned, but this time it was mixed with determination. The fleet rushed to form a new defensive line at the edge of the nebula. Alien admirals and human commanders gathered around a digital map. Captain Mira pointed at the moving energy surge. "Whatever this is, it's bigger than anything we have. Seen. We must work together as one fleet. We cannot let them break through," the Orlan ambassador agreed. "We trust you, Captain. What is your plan?" Mira explained quickly. "Our weapons work best when the enemy is confused. We'll split the fleet into two groups. One group will draw the enemy's attention, and the other will attack from behind. The Resolute will stay in the center, ready to support wherever needed." The fleet moved into position, human and alien ships lined up side by side. Every pilot and crew member remembered how they won the last battle, with trust and quick thinking. They repeated Mira's words, "Together we are stronger." As the new threat came closer, its shape became clear. It was not just one ship, but a giant structure, like a city floating in space, built from parts of thousands of destroyed ships. Glowing red eyes moved across its surface. It was a moving fortress, and it looked unstoppable. The fleet held its ground. The alien pilots looked at the human ships for courage. The human pilots nodded back, calm and confident. On the Resolute, Mira sat in the command chair, her crew ready at every station. The enemy fortress began to fire. Streams of dark energy shot out, striking the fleet's shields. Ships shook and alarms blared, but the line held. The first group of ships, led by the brave Orlan pilot and his squad, flew straight at the enemy, drawing its fire. They dodged and weaved, risking everything. At Mira's signal, the second group swung around behind the fortress. The Zorian ships opened fire, aiming at weak points revealed by human scanners. The Kireth sent data from their own studies, pointing out cracks in the enemy's defenses. Inside the enemy fortress, something seemed to change. It shifted, opening new weapon ports, firing at every ship that came near. For a moment, the fleet's attack slowed. The enemy was adapting faster than before. Mira saw the danger. She called out to her team, "We need something unexpected. Suggestions?" The short human crew member, known for her ideas, spoke up. "The fortress is using stolen technology. What if we send it a false signal? Make it think it's being attacked from inside?" Mira smiled. "Let's do it." The humans quickly programmed a hacking drone using codes copied from the enemy wreckage. With the Council's permission, they sent the drone straight into the fortress's outer shell. The enemy fortress reacted. Its weapons turned inward, firing at its own interior. For a few seconds, its shields flickered. The fleet saw their chance. "All ships, focus fire on the exposed core," Mira ordered. Every ship fired at once. The nebula was lit by hundreds of energy blasts. The enemy's core shook and started to crack. Inside the fortress, explosions tore through its stolen technology. But the enemy was not done yet. As its core broke open, smaller ships poured out, swarms of fighters, each one ready to attack. The fleet found itself surrounded. Now came the hardest part. The human and alien pilots had to fight side by side, defending each other. Human drones targeted the swarms, while Kireth scientists gave real-time data to help aim. The Orlan pilot, wounded but still fighting, led his team in a daring attack on the enemy's command center. Captain Mira watched the battle, her mind racing. She saw that the enemy fighters followed a pattern. They always turn left when attacked from above, she noticed. Tell the fleet to attack from above, then cut them off from the right. The message spread. The fleet moved as one, trapping the enemy fighters and picking them off. The battle turned, bit by bit. On the bridge of the Resolute, the Zorion. Admiral looked at Mira with awe. You see things we do not. How? Mira shrugged, a small smile on her lips. Humans make mistakes, but we learn fast. We don't give up. At last, the enemy's fortress broke apart. Pieces of it floated in space, burning and silent. The surviving enemy ships fled into the darkness. The fleet cheered. Messages of thanks and relief echoed through the calm channels. Some alien leaders wiped tears from their eyes. We survived, the Orlan ambassador whispered. We survived because of trust. But the victory was not without cost. Many ships were lost. Brave pilots from every world had fallen. The Council made plans to honor them and to remember that peace was worth fighting for. Back in the Council Hall, Elder Tariq stood up. We have seen what can happen when we work together. But we must not stop here. The galaxy is wide and there are always new threats. Let us stay united, not just in fear, but in hope. The name of the Resolute was now known on every world. Humans were no longer seen as weak or simple. They were leaders, friends, and equals. Captain Mira sent one last message to the fleet. The battle is won, but our greatest strength is not in our weapons or our ships. It is in our trust. That is how we will protect this galaxy together. And as the damaged ships began their journey home, the galaxy felt a new sense of peace. The enemy had been beaten, not by fear, but by unity and courage. Yet somewhere, out in the darkness, the last piece of the enemy slipped away, silent and waiting. But for now, the stars belonged to the united fleet, and to the hope they had built together. The galaxy was peaceful after the battle. For the first time in years, no more warnings came from the edge of space. Planets that once lived in fear now felt safe. In city streets and spaceports, people talked about the great victory in the nebula. Across every world, children drew pictures of the Resolute and its crew. Songs and stories celebrated the day when humans and aliens fought together as one. But inside the council hall, the leaders knew the work was not over. The enemy was beaten, but not completely destroyed. Some enemy ships had escaped into the darkness. The galaxy had learned that it could not go back to the old ways, every planet thinking only of itself. If they wanted peace to last, they would have to trust each other and remain united. The council held a meeting with all the major races present. The Zorion admiral, once proud and suspicious of humans, now welcomed Captain Mira and her team as equals. The Orlan ambassador, usually nervous and full of worry, spoke calmly. Even Elder Tariq of the Kireth looked pleased, his wise eyes gentle and warm. Captain Mira stood at the center of the great hall. a little tired from weeks of work but smiling. She thanked every race for their bravery and teamwork. "We all lost something in this fight," she said, "but we have gained something far greater: trust." The council decided to create a new fleet, made up of ships from every world. They called it the Unity Fleet. Its job was to patrol the galaxy, help any planet in trouble, and make sure that no new enemy could attack without warning. The Resolute was named the flagship of this new fleet. Captain Mira was chosen to lead, not because she was human, but because she had earned the respect of all. There was a ceremony to honor the fallen. In every language, names of lost pilots and crew were read aloud. Flowers and symbols from many worlds were placed around the council hall. People from across the galaxy watched the ceremony, many with tears in their eyes. It was a moment of sadness, but also of hope. The message was clear. They would not forget the cost of freedom, and they would not let their differences pull them apart. After the ceremony, the council worked hard to build new friendships. Scientists from different planets met to share ideas and technology. They started new projects together, building better shields, stronger ships, and faster engines. Human engineers were always happy to teach and learn. The Kireth scientists were amazed at how fast the humans worked, and the Zorians admired their courage to try new things. The Orlan ambassador became a symbol of this new age. He started a program to let young pilots from every world train together. "We will be friends before we are soldiers," he said. In the pilot academy, laughter and songs filled the air, even as cadets learned how to defend the galaxy. But even as peace grew, there were some who worried. Small groups of leaders still remembered how afraid they had been when the Resolute first arrived. They whispered, "What if humans become too powerful?" A few ships even watched the Unity Fleet from a distance, just in case. But Captain Mira always answered with kindness and honesty. "We came to help, not to rule," she told anyone who asked. Slowly, even the doubters began to trust her words. One day, a message arrived from the far edge of the galaxy. It was weak, full of static, but clear enough to understand. It came from a planet nobody had heard from in years. "Please help us," the voice said. "We are under attack. The enemy has returned." The council acted quickly. Captain Mira called the Unity Fleet together. "This is why we are here," she said. "We will not let any world stand alone." The fleet moved out at once. Zorian warships led the way, their shields shining bright. Orlan pilots flew in tight formation, singing as they went. The Kireth provided maps and advice, guiding the fleet safely through unknown space. The Resolute stood at the center, its engines burning blue with Captain Mira on the bridge. As they neared the troubled planet, the fleet saw enemy ships attacking the surface. Buildings burned, and people ran for shelter. But this time, the enemy did not face a divided galaxy. They faced the Unity Fleet. Captain Mira gave her orders with calm confidence. "Protect the people. Disable the enemy ships. Work together, the Yo." Battle was fierce, but different from before. The enemy tried to use the same old tricks, but the Unity Fleet was ready. Alien and human ships covered each other, blocking attacks and rescuing damaged vessels. Human drones mapped the enemy's movements, and Zorian pilots chased off the strongest attackers. Orlan medics landed on the planet to help the wounded. The enemy ships, seeing they could not win, tried to escape. But the Unity Fleet surrounded them. This time, none slipped away into the darkness. The last enemy ship was captured and brought to the council for study. After the fight, the people of the rescued planet sent a message of thanks. "We thought we were forgotten," they said, "but you saved us. We are not alone." The news spread across the stars. The message was clear. No matter how big the galaxy, no world would ever be left to fight alone again. Back on the Resolute, the crew gathered in the main hall. They laughed and celebrated, happy to have saved so many lives. Captain Mira looked out at her team, humans, Zorians, Orlans, Kyreth, and many others, all working together. She felt proud, but she also knew the work was not over. She spoke to the crew. "We are not heroes because we have the biggest ship or the strongest weapons. We are heroes because we do what is right. We choose to stand together, to protect each other, and to bring hope where there was once only fear." Elder Tariq sent a private message to Mira. "You have changed the story of this galaxy. Never forget that sometimes the smallest planet or the most unlikely leader can make the biggest difference." The Unity fleet continued its journey, patrolling the stars and watching for danger. They stopped pirates, helped sick planets, and shared food where it was needed. The name Resolute became a symbol of hope and friendship. Children on distant worlds pretended to be Captain Mira and her crew. Even old enemies started to dream of peace. Time passed. The galaxy healed its wounds. Where there were once walls and borders, there were now bridges and shared projects. The memory of the battles remained, but so did the lessons learned. And somewhere out there, the last bits of the old enemy still waited, hiding in the cold dark of space. But now, whenever they looked out, they saw a united fleet watching back, ready, strong, and full of hope. The galaxy would never be the same. When Earth's battleship first arrived, many screamed in terror. But now, when people saw the Resolute, they cheered. They knew that as long as trust and unity survived, they could face any darkness together, the end